This woman just discovered that her husband filed for divorce in New York at exactly 3:17 p.m., while the biometric system in their home confirms he never left the mansion. But if both are true, then which one is really her husband? Elena stood frozen in front of the screen. No video, no explanation, just a cold final line. The divorce filing had been completed. That's impossible, she whispered. She opened the case details. Julian's signature, valid. Facial recognition, a perfect match. Fingerprints, no discrepancies. The law firm's security cameras had recorded the entire process, crystal clear, leaving no room for doubt. No signs of forgery. Elena's hands began to tremble as she checked his schedule. Julian had been in Aspen for 19 straight days. No flights, no travel, not a single trace. She switched to the home security system. In the past 72 hours, no one had entered or left the mansion. Not a single door opened. Not a single unusual movement. Elena turned around. Julian was pouring himself a glass of wine. Slow, composed, almost unnervingly calm. "Is there something you want to tell me?" she asked. He didn't look at her, just took a sip of his wine before asking, "Your lawyer called you already, didn't they?" Elena's heart skipped. He didn't ask what had happened. He already knew, or worse, he had been waiting for it. Elena didn't react right away. She studied Julian for a few more seconds, then turned back to her screen as if nothing had happened. But in her mind, the decision was already made. She was going to test him. "Do you remember our trip to Santorini last year?" she asked casually, her eyes still fixed on the laptop. Julian answered immediately, without hesitation. "You got sunstroke on the second day. We had to cancel the diving trip." Elena froze. Santorini had never happened. She had made it up, but the details were perfectly accurate. "Do you still have that photo of me standing on the cliff?" she pressed. "It's on the old hard drive. You hate that one because the wind messed up your hair," Julian replied evenly. A chill ran down Elena's spine. He didn't remember it wrong. He remembered a memory that had never existed. She didn't ask anything else. Quietly, she opened the company's internal system. Julian's meetings appeared. Every file was complete. But something felt off. She opened the videos one by one. 1, 2, 3, all of them were recordings. No live streams, no real-time interaction, no one interrupting, no spontaneous reactions, as if everything had been staged. Elena started fast-forwarding. Over the past 6 months, not once had Julian appeared live. Her heart began to race. She dug deeper into the internal reporting system. A hidden file surfaced, tagged, restricted. Lowering her voice to a near whisper, Elena murmured, "Let's see, what are you hiding?" She opened it. A short line appeared on the screen. "The CEO has not attended any meetings in person since last quarter. No reason. No explanation. Just a cold note." Elena swallowed hard. She switched to the old server, the one almost no one accessed anymore. Weaker security, but more chaotic. She typed in a command. A list of files appeared. Among them was a locked file, timestamped 7 months ago, before everything began. "Elena, what are you doing?" Julian's voice came from behind her. Very close. She didn't turn around. "Just checking something," she said. She clicked the file open. The screen went black for a second. Then the video appeared. Julian. But not the one standing behind her. The man in the video looked exhausted. Wrinkled shirt, bloodshot eyes. He stared straight into the camera as if he knew who would be watching. "Elena." His voice trembled slightly. "I don't have much time." His breathing was uneven. "Listen carefully." He paused, glancing over his shoulder like he was afraid of someone. Then he looked back at the camera and said, slowly, each word deliberate, "If you're watching this, then the one standing next to you." Elena held her breath. "Has already learned how to become me." The screen cut to black. The room behind her fell into a terrifying silence. Elena didn't scream. She didn't step back. She just observed. She looked at Julian like she was truly seeing him for the first time. Not his face, not his voice, his breathing. Steady, but too steady. She watched his hand as he held the wine glass. The angle, perfect, not off by a millimeter. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice neutral. "I'm always okay," Julian replied instantly. Instantly. Not a single pause. Elena narrowed her eyes. She switched questions, faster this time. "Do you remember when I broke your father's watch?" Julian paused. Half a second. Just half a second. Then he answered, "You cried, and I told you it was okay." Elena didn't listen to the content. She listened to the delay. zero point 0.5 seconds, as if he wasn't remembering but searching. She turned away, her heart beating faster. She needed proof. That night, when Julian was asleep, or pretending to be, Elena took his phone, no passcode, as if he didn't need to hide anything. Contacts empty, messages empty, no friends, no partners, not a single personal connection, only one number, no name, no history. Elena stared at the digits. Her finger hovered for a few seconds, then she pressed call. The phone rang, once, twice. Three. I've been waiting for you to call, a woman's voice, calm, familiar enough to send a chill down Elena's spine. Mother? Elena whispered. Julian's mother. She didn't ask who was calling, didn't ask what was happening. She just exhaled softly, as if everything was already part of the plan. You figured it out faster than I expected. Elena tightened her grip on the phone. What is going on? No direct answer, just a long silence. Then, slowly, you've always been intelligent. That's why I couldn't remove you sooner. Elena's heart dropped. Where is Julian? On the sigh. Not grief, acceptance. That's the wrong question, she said. Elena stood frozen. In her mind, the pieces began to fall into place. 6 months without appearing, no live streams, altered memories, perfect responses, no errors. It wasn't him. It had never been him. Elena's voice grew faint. Is he dead? No denial, only silence. And that silence was the answer. Elena closed her eyes, 1 second, 2 seconds, then opened them. Then why? She asked. Why would you do all of this? On the other end, the woman let out a soft laugh. Not loud, but cold enough to freeze the blood in Elena's veins. We're not keeping him alive. Elena held her breath. We're keeping the stock price alive. The world seemed to collapse in on itself. Everything was only just beginning. Elena didn't expose anything. She didn't ask another question. She just smiled, as if everything was fine. Are you stressed? She asked, stepping closer to Julian, her hand lightly brushing the wine glass he was holding. No, he replied. I'm always okay. The same perfect answer. But this time, Elena took another step, closer than usual. Good, she said softly. I need you to sign a few small things. Julian looked at her. Half a second. That familiar delay. Okay, no questions, no suspicion. Elena set the first document down. Just a voting rights update, routine. Julian signed, without reading. This one amends the authorization clause, new regulation. He signed, didn't pause. Elena watched. Every movement, every stroke of the pen, precise, clean, repetitive. But then, are you sure we should change this part? Julian suddenly asked. Elena froze. A beat. Tiny. But enough. For the first time, he didn't follow the script immediately. She smiled, softer. Don't you trust me? Julian looked at her. A flicker of emptiness passed through his eyes. Then it was gone. I trust you, he signed. Elena said nothing more, just continued. Second document. Thorth, small, unremarkable, but every signature was a piece of power shifting, slow, certain, unnoticed, except by her. That night, Elena sat alone, reviewing every file, every clause, every appendix. Everything was valid, everything irreversible. She whispered, just one more step. The day of the shareholder meeting arrived. The room was full, tense, but controlled. Julian's mother sat at the head of the table, confident, in command. She glanced at Elena, a brief look, as if Elena had already been removed from the board. Let's begin, she said. Julian sat beside her, silent, perfect. The lawyer handed out the final document, an addendum, thin, unremarkable. Just a confirmation of the transfer structure, he said. Her mother-in-law allowed herself a faint smile. Everything was in her hands. Julian picked up the pen, didn't look at Elena, didn't ask, just signed, one stroke, decisive. Elena didn't look at the paper, didn't look at the signature. She looked at her mother-in-law. Their eyes met. 1 second, 2 seconds. No one spoke. But in that glance, only one of them understood. Everything had just changed. The lawyer stood. The room fell into absolute silence. No one breathed too loudly. No one moved. We will now proceed with the final disclosure of the ownership transfer. His voice was steady, but each word landed like a stone. Elena didn't look at him. She looked at her mother-in-law. The woman sat upright, her gaze cold and certain. She believed she had already won, based on the duly executed addendums over the past 6 weeks. The lawyer paused for a beat. All voting rights, assets, and control of the company. A few shareholders began to nod. Everything was unfolding exactly as they expected. Will be transferred, he looked down at the document, then said clearly, to Elena. No one reacted for a second. Then, the entire room froze. Someone dropped a pen. Another person shot to their feet. What? That's impossible. Julian's mother said nothing, but her face changed. That's incorrect, she said, her voice low and razor sharp. Read it again. The lawyer didn't repeat himself. He simply slid the document toward her. You may verify it yourself. She snatched it, flipped through the pages. Fast, hard, urgent. Then stopped, at the signature. Julian's. Everything was valid. Everything followed procedure. Not a single legal flaw. She looked up. For the first time, there was a flicker in her eyes. What did you do? She asked. Elena took a step forward, slowly, unhurried. I didn't do anything, she said softly. I just read carefully what he signed. Her mother-in-law tightened her grip on the papers. I can end this right now. A few shareholders turned toward her. They understood. The truth. If she said it, the real Julian was dead. Everything was fake. A performance, a system built on deception. The stock would collapse. The company would vanish. This empire would be erased within hours. But Elena tilted her head, meeting her gaze directly. No hesitation, no fear. Go ahead, she said quietly. Tell them the truth. A long silence stretched across the room, heavy, suffocating. Her mother-in-law said nothing, because she understood if she destroyed Elena, she would destroy herself. Her hand trembled, just slightly, but enough. Elena took one more step, close enough that only the two of them could hear. Her voice dropped, slow, deliberate. You created him. Her mother-in-law stared at her, unblinking. But I'm the one who taught him how to sign. A beat. No one spoke. No one moved. Julian, or whatever was standing there, remained still, like a puppet that had just completed its task. Elena turned away, didn't look back. She walked out of the boardroom under dozens of watching eyes. No one stopped her. No one dared. The door closed behind her. A dry, final sound. The end. But not for everyone. Because the real question still remained. Was Elena the victim? Or had she known everything from the beginning and simply waited for the perfect moment to take it all?